Welcome to Profitability. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and other information that matters to your small business and you. I'm your host, Ruth King. Thank you for joining us today. Here's how we will help your business and you. Everyone is in sales. We sell our ideas to our employees. We sell to our family to get what we want done. And our kids, they are probably the best at it because they have no fear. Tell a kid that he can't have a candy bar while in the grocery store, and the first response from him is, why not? Then he will ask many more times until you finally get frustrated and say, because I said so. My guest today, Doug Trenary, will help you get your sales mind. He will answer your questions live and show you how to sell smarter and live more powerfully. Thank you for watching Profitability. Discovered ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to your small business and you. Award-winning author Doug Trenary. Hi, Doug.
Hi, Ruth. Thank you for having me on your show.
My pleasure. Doug is president of Doug Trenary's Fast Track, Inc. in Atlanta, Georgia. And also as an award-winning speaker, he has created hundreds of business and personal development programs and has conducted over 3,500 seminars and speeches all across North America since 1985 for nearly every type of organization. He has now produced his Sales Mind program in multimedia digital form for any device. Doug's clients span large and small businesses in virtually every major industry, and his programs have one central theme: make the changes necessary now to achieve the results at a new and higher level in any economy. Those changes have inspired clients to lead their organizations to new levels and to generate tens of millions of new dollars. So if you have questions for Doug during this program, email rking@profitabilityrevolution.com or tweet them to me at Ruth King. We've already gotten one question in that we will talk about it. And we'll answer as many as we can during this program. You know, obviously, if you're watching this not during the live program, email me anyway. I'll get them to Doug. Is that okay?
Good. That is terrific. Looking forward.
All right. Doug's personal mission is to inspire everyone from CEOs to teenagers to take their lives in a new level of success. And he is here today to help you sell smarter and live more powerfully. Glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
All right. So let's get into it. You know, what is, from your perspective, what is the sales mind?
Well, it's been a long process putting it together. Very quickly, the sales mind was an answer to a question I put out some 20 years ago. Who are the best salespeople in the world?
Okay.
How do they think? How do they operate? How do they act? How do they handle pressure resistance? And I came out of that by a lot of personal experience and study and reading and observation and statistics and data. I came up with a formula which answers that question. I think it's a fascinating thing.
Yeah, okay. Now, you've been in this business 20, 30 years by now. Has the person in the 1980s, does he have a different profile than the person in 2015?
Almost a yes and a no.
Okay.
Yes, the differences are the technologies and the speed of business and the internet and social media, those things. But I contend the fundamental human being, if you go back 6,000 years ago, were bartering. You know, the herd, the sheep herder, you know, who had sheep to offer, he wanted to trade with the wheat guy. and I think that's always been the case. So I think you certainly go to the 1980s, we can see what's changed in our society, primarily the tools, but I think fundamentally the recipe is the same.
It's the same.
I really believe that.
I guess a human being is a human being no matter what. We have needs.
Right, we have new toys.
We have new toys, but we have the same needs.
That's correct.
This is Doug's book. If you want to get a copy, where do we get a copy of this book?
The best place to get it, all the conventional places, Amazon, but the best place to get it is at our website at dougtrenary.com.
Okay. And will you autograph them?
I'd be happy to.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Very good. So just so you know, what we're talking about today, you can get in the book form and those types of things.
And of course in ebook, a downloadable format. And as you mentioned in your introduction, all of the Sales Mind in multimedia digital MP3 files. So it's a really nice world to be able to provide that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to go to the one question that I got. It probably follows up the question about, is it different today than it was in the 20, 30 years ago? And this question came from Barb, and I will not use her last name.
Sure, terrific.
And she has the question, how does social media impact the sales process now? I mean, you mentioned technology. That's part of technology, right?
Right, and a couple comments on this. Yes, absolutely. Social media, all of its various versions, and we know what they are integral to business now. What I'm seeing when I interview top salespeople, they have a social media presence.
Do they really? Do they all have one?
do respond to the LinkedIn inquiries. They do get a Twitter handle. They are developing their database. But the one thing I would say to Barb and any of the viewers is you can't just have the technologies.
Oh, come on. You mean so that if I, what is it? If I build it, it will come. No field of dreams.
No, it's not. And that disappoints a lot of people, unfortunately, and drives them out of the social media thing. So it's like, okay, it didn't work. That's not really the issue. What I've just found in general, here's the thing I would say. You have to take those platforms, but you have to give people things of value. You've got to put an email in front of them. You got to give them a statistic. You've got to give them something to watch. Content, because it's very competitive time for those eyeballs, and so you can't just have the ball field.
Oh, come on, I want the ball field.
You've got to play the music on the ball field, and you've got to engage the fan day, and here's a kite overboard.
And with your son playing baseball, I mean, that was a perfect analogy for that.
Right. No, we spent a lot of years on the diamond, on the stand, so to speak. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, so that's basically it. So, when in all the studying that you've done, how would you define a top sales performer?
This is where I get really excited, so bear with me. I think this answer, who are the best salespeople, ultimately falls into three kind of dimensions, if you will. They're all interlocking. You can't take any away. The first dimension, is they get the most out of themselves. And I call this leveraging themselves. They create a strong position with themselves.
Okay, so that's number one.
Right. Secondly is, now as a seller, okay, and the other end is a buyer, they develop very strong skills as a seller to leverage their influence and persuasion on the buyer. And a lot of people think, and you hear this a lot, well, are salespeople born? Well, there's no question that some people have more aptitudes by the time they're going to get into professional sales business. But my mantra is it can be taught. These skills can be taught, and they can be improved.
All right, so we're in a situation, and do different people actually have different skills depending upon whether it's in-home sales or whether you're walking into a retail store or you're into a corporate, Fortune 500 type thing like selling a Boeing airplane versus, walking into the toy store and buying a toy airplane?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing about it, I just came from the Northeast in 3 different markets just last week and 2 different types of businesses. The short answer I would give you, there's fundamentally a structure you have to have. You have to be somewhat fearless. You can't be afraid of the interactions, whether they're retail or whether you're walking into the CEO's office. I think that's the big thing.
Is fear?
Is fear. You got to get over what's a big deal. There's a lot of things to be afraid of in life today, and that's not one of them. And I think I spend a lot of time with CEOs, and you know what? Some of them say is, I wish more salespeople would call on me. And I had one CEO in San Francisco tell me, if a salesperson drops into my business and I've got the time and I'm there making those assumptions, they're actually market intel for me. I know what suppliers are doing on the street, what new products they're offering, and I don't mind.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. And it's really interesting because a lot of people are the fear. It's not like we're being shot at. We're really and truly not being shot at. So
I was actually going to say that.
Yeah. Well, you can say what's being shot at. When we get back from the break, we're going to talk about what is leverage and the leverage piece of all of this. But, I think it goes back a lot to people just being afraid. Maybe I'm afraid of the little person coming in with the toy airplane, or I'm afraid of walking into the CEO's office of a Fortune 500 company and doing it that way.
Let me make a comment on this.
Okay.
Is this, you asked the question, are people, alike, and what environment? I guess overview in my model of a sales mind, you have to have those fundamental things. Some of the tactical things are going to be different. The greetings are going to be different, how you approach the customer, etc. But the main thing is, people ask me a lot of time about this issue of having confidence. How do you get confidence? Well, confidence is kind of the opposite of fear. Now, you know this, Ruth. There's plastic confidence. There's artificial confidence. almost an arrogance. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
I believe that you can get through that fear. Here's the short answer: by having the confidence that comes from having studied your craft, your product, your trade, how the product works, knowing what your competitor is doing so that you can compare products. And when you have that confidence, if you can add the second piece is knowing sales and how to leverage the buyer, you'll be in a good position.
All right, when we get back, we're going to continue this conversation.
Very
we will
nice.
be right back. Thanks for watching Profitability. Thanks for watching Profitability. If you have questions for Doug, please email them to rking@profitabilityrevolution.com or tweet me at Ruth King. And we got another question in while we were there. But before I get to that question, I want to go back to the third point that we really didn't talk about in the three types. So can we start with that one?
Yeah, let's do that. I mentioned there's three dimensions of sales mind: how to get the most out of yourself, and then with buyers as a seller. And the third thing is, and it's how to leverage what I call timing as opposed to time management. Because I think conventional time management, checking off your list can let you down. But timing has a much tighter aim, Ruth, in that you're trying to time the right things. And at the end of the day, kind of the running of the business for a sales mind, if you can prioritize the right things and then time the right place, right time idea, then you're going to be a lot more successful. And that's crucial. A lot of people think that they can just have the drive, just have the skill, but you have to be at the right place, right time with it, or it doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
So
it's kind of like the comment that says that success is 95% preparation and 1% inspiration. Same deal. Same deal.
Same family.
This is Doug's book, The Sales Mind. So pick it up. You can go to his website, which is
DougTrenary.com.
Right. And he'd be more than happy to autograph a copy for you when you invest there. And then we did get a question in during the break or sometime as we were going through. Can anyone be a salesperson?
The short answer with a qualifier I would give is yes. Now, a lot of times sales, the profession, is not portrayed like being a doctor or a pilot, where you must, by law, have all these levels of certification. So I think if we could come out of the gate and say, if people had the training and the sales process and some of the psychological things, a lot more people would do it and do it successfully. I saw a statistic recently from one of the large training organizations that kind of monitors salespeople, and they estimate there's about 16.5 million salespeople at any one time. They're coming in, they're coming out in the U.S. And here's what's frightening to answer your question. It's estimated that only half of them have had any professional training.
Go Doug.
And so the rest of them like, hey, here's your kit and go get them, Tiger. And that's a recipe for a lot of bad things.
Yeah, it really and truly is. It's really interesting because I did a little research and I think there's only 2 schools in the country that actually have a sales degree, one of which is Kennesaw.
Kennesaw State. And as a matter of fact, I've made several presentations in their program, all the way from their doctoral.
For those of you who don't know, Kennesaw is very close to Atlanta. It's in the northwestern suburb of the city of Atlanta. And even so, one of them is actually right here in Atlanta. But if selling is so important, which it is, because nothing happens until whoever said that, until somebody sells something, why don't we have a training like we have a marketing degree and we have a medical degree and we have a law degree and we have a business degree, but there's no sales degree?
I actually, because I've done some work and some speeches at KSU, Kennesaw State, and I actually asked the head of their selling department degree, as a bachelor's degree, the answer to this. He had good news on one hand and
bad news on the other.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get the bad news out of the way. He said those degrees are growing in popularity around the U.S. once they're certified and they get in the curriculum, et cetera, et cetera. But the bad news is, I think even in the modern day today, so many people in society and certainly academia have a bad view of salespeople and selling. They think it's, you're going to...
old used car salesperson.
Yeah, you're going to con somebody, and I think of the dignity and the professionalism, because of that old mantra that we carry, seems to interrupt selling as a serious degree.
All right, so let's talk about how to leverage yourself.
What a great subject.
You have only 2 minutes to do this, and we have to get to the next one. So, overview, again.
This is the exciting part.
Buy the book.
And it's why I put this one first in the sequence of things. How to leverage yourself basically means how to get the most out of yourself as a person. I have no doubt that the most important that me or you or anybody or viewers, the most important thing that you bring to business is yourself. And if you look at a human being in broad terms, and I mentioned even back to the beginning of time, every person has a struggle between the good them You know, the one that wants to be positive, enthusiastic, and the bad them. You know, the fearful, guilty, disappointed. And I think when you wrestle with those two things, which sales minds do, you realize if you can simply outline the things in your life that give you a lot more possibility than the negative stuff, that's going to help you win that war. It's easy to say be a positive thinker, but you know this. It takes constancy of thought to be
a positive thinker.
But so leveraging yourself is putting yourself in a good position so that you can have the energy to go out and do good things.
Right, and feel good about yourself.
And feel good.
Doing yourself.
And the buyer, Ruth, will detect that.
Yeah, oh,
they
absolutely.
will detect how you feel about things. Sometimes it's subconscious or it's instantaneous, but they will detect it. And if you're a buyer and you've got the money, who are you going to respond more to? A salesperson who looks like, you know, they're on their last dime, or someone that acts like they've really got something of value to contribute to your business, and their energy portrays that.
Yeah, portrays that.
Right.
And it's really funny because I've seen two salespeople, no joke, with $25 difference in price for a $10,000 product.
It's nothing.
And it's, I mean, it's not price at that point. It's the person.
It's the person.
It's the person.
The one thing when I speak to people is you, and you mentioned management. I will add them. You collectively is the most important thing you bring to the business equation.
Right.
It's you.
It's you.
Yes.
It's absolutely.
Absolutely.
So we've leveraged buyers. We've leveraged you. Now, the last thing is, how do we leverage timing? We have about 2 minutes left, so.
Okay, timing, and I make this distinction about timing versus time management. Time management is, you know, you got a planner or you've got some type of electronic device and you kind of line up your tasks and you chip it away. Of course, here's everybody's issue. You have this much to do in a day and you got this much time.
Yeah.
The way time management kills you is you haven't prioritized anything. So what if you're working on the unimportant stuff and you run out of time, and the important stuff, the big home runs, they're left undone? You're not going to have a good business.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing, you know, time management is a myth. It's really to me, it's basically person management. Right. It's managing yourself.
Timing is the most. I sit with executives and I ask them, even self-made men and women who have made, in some cases,
billions.
You know, hundreds of millions, if not billions. One of the things, and when they answer, how'd you do it, is they realize sometimes after the fact that they had good timing about things. And I think there's some teaching and some instruction you can give to how to have that.
Right.
Being at the right place, right time, right idea.
Right, and not being afraid to take action, because that's the second thing is the fear. Because how many people have passed on ideas? I mean, I know people who passed on Uber, and they had the opportunity to invest in Uber. Now, I mean, we're joking and you're laughing about that, but they were afraid to do it because they were afraid that they wouldn't make it. Now, there's a lot of companies that don't make it, but a lot of fear is, that will never work. And the key is a lot of things do work. You know, they may not work in their initial form, but they do work all the time from there. And in the last minute that we have, I want to bring out your book again. And you know, we talked a little bit about the book, but you take action. You do what you're supposed to do. You do what you got to do.
At the end of the day, nothing, and you said this, nothing happens unless you sell. Well, nothing, selling is a business of action. You got to get off the field and do things. And every program I do, we end with an action plan and a closure and a call to action. Go do something, because the people, even if, this is hard to say, but even if you're not as skilled, even if you don't have the best product, and products differentiate in their price points and value, if you're the person that's constantly doing something, you're making the calls, you're doing the follow-up, you're thinking like a closed, you know, how to bring things to closure. You're constantly doing things. I have a belief that there's two sins, I think, in sales. Never be out-thought. That's the strategy part. And number two is never be out-hustled. That's the action piece. And it's so
never be out-hustled. That's probably really,
you don't have an excuse for that one. You can make excuses for everything else, but to be out-hustled, out-acted, so to speak, is the personal accountability thing that you mentioned prior with managers. Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Doug?
Ruth, thank you so much for having me on your show.
My
thanks
pleasure.
to your viewers.
And thanks to all of you for logging in today. If you have any questions more for Doug, you can reach him at doug@dougtrenary.com. You can get his book there. Give him a call. He'd be happy, I'm sure, to answer a quick question or two. And remember, have a sales mind. You'll make more money. You'll enjoy your life that much more. And we'll be right back. Thanks for watching Profitability.
Thanks again.